excited to kick off really event season with you. What we'd like to do today, I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Shalisa Demuth, the Executive Director at Beta, Tech.mn, and Twin Cities Startup Week. So where I'd like to get us started today, why don't you drop your name and then the company that you're with in the chat. I'd love to hear from all of you. See who we've got. Oh, so many familiar faces. It's good to see you all. Oh, Jamie, Casey, it's good to see you. All right. Okay, we've got Storage in the house, U of M, Modern Logic. Hey guys, we just spoke to you last week. It's good to see you. Awesome. Well, I'll get us started. We're going to give you a little background on Beta and what Beta has to do with Twin Cities Startup Week for those who are not already initiated. So who runs Twin Cities Startup Week? Beta is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that really supports and enables Minnesota startups. And so we are the organization behind the organizing and coordination of Twin Cities Startup Week. I'd love to introduce you to our team. We have 3 other team members in addition to myself today. So I'll pass the mic to our managing director, Kelly Schultze. Kelly, do you want to introduce yourself? How long you've been at Beta, and then a fun fact about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. So good to see some familiar faces. My name is Kelly Schultze. I am the managing director at Beta and Twin Cities Startup Week. What that means is I run all of our programs and events and kind of the behind the scenes of all our different happenings. So yeah, I've had the honor of being a part of 2 startup weeks, and this will be my 3rd. And super excited to work with you. And fun fact, wow, I told myself I'd prepare for this and I did not. I love popcorn. It's my favorite food.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelly, for saying hello. We'll pass it over to our content manager, Alex.
Yeah, hey everyone. My name is Alex Shang. I'm the content manager for, excuse me, Beta, TCSW, and Tech.mn. I've been writing for Tech.mn for almost 3 years and been officially a part of Beta for just under a year. So this will be my first TCSW, like fully engaged in all the content. So if you ever see a tweet or anything posted that makes you laugh or roll your eyes, you're welcome. So a fun fact about me, I've seen Metallica 6 times, soon to be 7 in August. So there can be no more fun fact than that. So excited to kick off TCSW.
Great, thanks so much, Alex. And last but not least, Shakaria Scott. It's very good to see you here. She's our partnerships manager. Shakaria, why don't you introduce yourself?
Afternoon, everyone. I'm Shakaria Scott. I'm Beta's partnerships manager. So pretty much I keep the relationships and partnerships and sponsorships with our sponsors and partners and make events like this even possible. I've been with Beta for about 7 months now. And fun fact about me, thought I'd be prepared for this one. I can laugh like SpongeBob.
Shakaria, are you comfortable with the demonstration?
Okay, I think so. La 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 la.
That's incredible. Hidden talents that no one. So our team is sitting in a room together right now, and none of us were aware of this secret talent. That's incredible. Well, this is the incredible team that is behind the planning, organizing, and execution of Twin Cities Startup Week. You'll be in touch with us a lot as we move towards September. So let's move to the next slide, Kelly, if that's all right. Thank you. So let's go through today's agenda. So of course, the reason that you're all here is because you're interested in either hosting a session or an event. We'll get into all of the details about what those different options for engagement mean. But we'll go through an overview. We'll talk about the vision and goals for the growth of the festival, and we are calling it a festival. We'll explain why a little later. We'll talk about how to get involved and support the programs, what you can expect at the event itself, key dates and tentative schedule, how to host a session. We have a really exciting new feature to introduce and roll out on this call today, and then we'll end with a Q&A. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic to the woman on our team who really makes things run and focuses on the success of the programming together with our team. Kelly, I'll let you take it up from here.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm so excited to kick off this Startup Week planning and season. And so let's just step back a little bit and remember, what is Twin Cities Startup Week? I know there's a lot of familiar faces on the call, but maybe some new ones too. So Twin Cities Startup Week is a week-long, really festival and celebration of innovation and entrepreneurship in Minnesota. And so it's spread across all types of innovators, entrepreneurs, company sizes, industry sectors. So everyone, there is something for everyone at Twin Cities Startup Week, and we want it to be inclusive for all types of innovators in our state. And so, yeah, we are excited for all of you because it really is a truly community-driven event. So without all of you, it would be nothing. So thank you for being here, and thank you for all the innovative work and great work you're doing in our state. And so you're maybe wondering, when is Twin Cities Startup Week this year? So mark your calendars for September 16th through the 23rd. It'll be a Friday to a Friday, similar to our event last year. And it should be a great time. So mark your calendars. And now you're probably wondering, who participates? Like, do I have a place here? Should I invite my so-and-so friend to the event? And the answer is yes. There are a wide range of people or personas that participate in Startup Week. We create all programming founder focused and founder first. So every event and session, we want to provide value to the entrepreneurial community. But really, there's so many other people too that are participating, whether it's Startup Curious or people that are looking for a job at these arising startups, or even our amazing corporate teams that are supporting the work of entrepreneurship in our ecosystem, as well as maybe have some people on their team that have an idea at the back of their head that they'll be starting. So really, future shapers of all shapes, sizes, and personas participate in Startup Week. There is something for everyone. So how big is Startup Week? Who attends? What is happening? So this is a look at our recaps from the past 2 years. For those of you that were with us in 2020, you know that it was our first ever completely virtual event as we were adapting to life living in a pandemic. So we were excited to have it. And we also, I just wanted to highlight too, we had 62 virtual fly-in participants. So people were still able to come and see the great things that were happening in Minnesota and be inspired to join us and move here. And then looking at last year, we pivoted and took the best learnings from our virtual 2020 and created a hybrid event, our first ever Startup Week that was hybrid. So we had both in-person and virtual sessions. So it's really quite cool to see the breakdown. And so we had just shy of 17,000 registered attendees. That equated to about 2,600 unique attendees with 200 sessions spread across the week. And yeah, we're proud of the diversity of thought leadership and people that were a part of our panels. And we had a itty bitty tiny fly-in program with 16 people that actually were able to fly in. So I'll let Shalisa kind of share what our vision and goals are for Startup Week this year.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Kelly, for that overview. So in 2022, we're focused on growth, community growth. Of course, we're all very excited to be meeting on an in-person format. While things will be broadcast, I'd love to explain a little bit of the vision. So the vision, of course, as is really consistent with the startup ecosystem here, is connectivity. How do we connect entrepreneurs to the resources in the community that will accelerate their growth and ultimately the growth of the state's economy and success? So what we're looking for this year is to boost. Oh, good. And I see Michael saying that the fly-in program was amazing. I'm so glad to hear it. We're looking to grow that program, but I'll start at the top. So attendance first up, we were at 2,600 tickets last year. We're looking to double attendance this year. So that could be either virtual or in-person or hybrid participation. but really growing our audience of entrepreneurs and people who get to connect directly with your programming is very important for the growth of Startup Week this year. 2,700 registered session attendees. So what this means, last year we were at 17,000, so 27,000 is what we're looking for this year. That means how many sessions we're registered for. So people showing up and learning from the great resources that are available at the different events, stages, sessions, the things that are hosted throughout the week. We are focusing on women in tech specifically. So Beta as an organization is focused on women in tech. We know that that creates a lot of economic change and creates a lot of access to opportunities when we focus on people who have otherwise been marginalized. So we do have a strong women in tech focus this year. So moving up to 51%. Then 20% non-metro attendees. What this means is people who are coming in, yes, Michael, like you mentioned, from the fly-in program, people who are coming in from greater Minnesota. So we've had the opportunity to meet with a lot of programs and a lot of great founders and leaders and companies, enterprise-sized companies from outside of the Twin Cities metro. Getting them involved just as much as we are plugged in here in the cities is really important to us. So it's a small increase. We were at 17% total attendees last year were non-metro. Looking to increase that to 20. That could also mean participants from outside of the state. So yes, we have the fly-in program, which we'll get to next. We are very focused on growing Twin Cities Startup Week as currently in the second place for the largest festival, largest startup week in the nation. We want to grow that to the first.
So you didn't send out a video
like what that takes is getting us exposed on national platforms. And so that's where the fly-in program and our media impressions are really important. Myself, I come from a background in media and PR. And so
Lisa,
I know how important it is to be able to tell our story. I think it's important for us to be able to tell our story. So 4 million media impressions will look like 1 million more than last year's event. That's nationwide, perhaps some global publications, but we have a great partner for that. Then the fly-in program, 52 fly-in program participants is what we're aiming for this year. So what that does is brings in talent from outside of Minnesota, outside of the Twin Cities, and flies them in by comping their travel into the region for the period of Startup Week. So 52 participants. We did have strong virtual participation last year, but only 12 in person because, of course, people were still a little bit shy to meet in person. So now that we are back to an in-person first format, getting that talent here to show them what a great community and really great environment it is to grow and contribute to tech and startups. It's what we're focused on. So those are our three areas of growth for Startup Week this year. Kelly, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
You're muted.
That is so funny. I was just saying, make sure you mute if you're not speaking. And of course I was speaking. So thank you, Shalisa. And yeah, we'll jump into, so you all have, taken the first step and are a part of this call. So we'll tell you more about how to get involved and support Twin Cities Startup Week. And actually, I am going to pass it to Shakaria, who is leading this section. So take it away, Shakaria, and remember to unmute.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, so how can we get involved and support? Of course, attend. We would love to see you, whether you be in person, hybrid, or virtual. Come and learn and explore and be inspired with the connections that you make. And that's like one of the best parts of Startup Week is making those amazing connections. Volunteering, we're always looking for volunteers, and come volunteer your time, your talents, whatever it be during the week. Sponsor, of course, we would love sponsorships. You can choose from your choices of financially where you're standing. We have lots of options available. steering committee. Apply to join the Twin Cities Startup Week steering committee to guide the vision, the planning, and the execution of the week. So you can be a big part of that. Host an event where you can share your thoughts and your leadership with our startup ecosystem and, get yourself in front of everyone. And obviously share. We would love if you were sharing, whether it be a social post or just bringing someone or, letting someone know about Startup Week. And also we would love to, obviously give a big shout out to sponsors that we currently have now. And I see a couple of them are on the call today. So thank you so much. But also we are still looking for sponsorships as well. So please give me a little chat if you're looking.
Amazing. Thank you, Shakaria. Okay, now I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk about some exciting updates and what you all can expect at Startup Week 2022. So we are bringing back the hybrid format. So we had great success last year. People loved the flexibility of being in person or virtual, and we saw a huge increase of people from outside of the metro area participate. So we are excited to have kind of that reach and accessibility, while also having the best of the best events, which I believe are in person. So we'll have plenty of that to participate in. Track events will take place in person and be broadcasted to a main stage of our virtual conference platform. And we are likely going to use Hopin again. Every year, Hopin makes great platform improvements. So I hope you all experience that too, where every year it gets a little bit easier to navigate the platform. Community sessions. So if you all choose to have a session during Startup Week and host, you can decide whether you want it to be virtual or in person. So Hopin is an option if you do want to host it virtually. And then this is a big, exciting update. So we always had the question, where is the hub of Startup Week? Where do I go if I just want to see what's happening and participate? And so we are combining our community hub with our main stage. So we plan to have one St. Paul hub and one Minneapolis hub throughout the week. Monday and Tuesday will be St. Paul days, and Wednesday through Friday will be Minneapolis days. And that way people know exactly where to go if they want to see the main stage sessions, if they want to co-work, if you want to pick up your Startup Week gear, which I'm rocking from last year. So that'll be the hub. And then for community sessions, we'll be in spaces that can either hold some of those community sessions at our hub, or we'll help you coordinate close venues nearby where we will be. So that's kind of something exciting to expect. And then a reminder and kind of perk of hosting it virtually on Hopin is that it will automatically be recorded and then featured in our Startup Week resource library. We are planning on hosting the in-person fly-in program, which Lisa and I mentioned before. And then kind of the biggest updates that we have to share, and I'm seeing a few questions in the chat, just so you know, we will do Q&A at the end and we will address all your questions. So we'll get through the slides and then we'll address all your questions. But without further ado, one of the biggest updates of Startup Week 2022 is that we will be using our brand new Twin Cities Startup Week Session Selector platform that is essentially a community voting platform where you'll be able to submit your Startup Week event. Our team will see those submissions and approve it to be on our community voting platform. And then we will open it up to have the community decide what they want to see during Startup Week. So I'll switch slides. Here is a sneak peek. So all you have to do to engage with the session selector is go to the URL, which we're launching on Wednesday next week, April 6th. So get ready for that kind of announcement. And you'll create an account. You can use the platform to submit up to 5 Startup Week sessions. And then you'll be able to promote your sessions that you submitted to be like, hey, everyone, this is what I'm thinking of bringing to Startup Week. Do you want to see it? Vote for me. And then this will be a great way to share with other people. If you know others that should be hosting Startup Week sessions, send them the link and they can consider also hosting an event. or just voting on what they would be interested in attending during the week. And huge thanks to Prime Digital Academy. I know some of you are on the call, and I just thank you so much for partnering with us to build this platform. We took inspiration from events like South by Southwest and Denver Startup Week, and we're so excited to have the community voice more apparent during Twin Cities Startup Week. And kind of a cool piece of this is we're planning on seeing what sessions have the most votes and using that to create our main stage track content. So keep in mind that if you submit an event via Session Selector, you'll hear back from us whether, yes, you're accepted as a community session, you can be a part of the week, or we'd love to elevate you to the main stage because this is an amazing session, as the community has indicated through the voting mechanism. So that is our Session Selector update. And as you're now kind of inspired and thinking about what Startup Week sessions you're going to submit, we wanted to share, these are our tracks that we plan on hosting Monday through Friday during the week. So we'll have a growth track around sales, marketing, automation, a culture track around people, DI, the future of work, more social impact sessions too. Of course, funding, raising capital, but also bootstrapping, financial modeling. And then for all of our designers and developers, we have a track for you on product. And then we will have a spotlight track, which kind of we reserve to highlight really cool events that maybe don't fit into any of those buckets, but are still super special, best of the best that we want to have on the main stage of Startup Week. So we crafted these tracks, and I know it's a little bit different from past years, but really around what startup founders are thinking about and what will provide the most value to them. And oftentimes in the past, we'd have a track, or we'd have a session like education and training track, and that content was relevant to startups of all industries, not just ed tech. So this will help us kind of invite more entrepreneurs to really see the best of the best sessions during Startup Week. All right, now you're like, okay, when are things happening? Key dates and tentative schedule. So these are the Startup Week dates for the year, and they are, I suppose, tentative to change, but these will pretty much be what you can expect at Startup Week this year. So right now, today, we're having our kickoff info session. The session submissions will open next Wednesday. That is when the Session Selector will go live. As Shakaria mentioned, for those of you interested in applying to be a part of our steering committee, that kicks off in late April. And so we'll continue monthly until the event. So keep that in mind if you're interested in helping us guide what Startup Week should look like. Sessions will close in mid-late May. So you have over a month to submit sessions. When you're submitting sessions, it can be pretty basic. You don't need to have everything finalized, but just enough to get the community excited so that when voting opens on May 25th, they are encouraged to vote for your session, and voting will close on June 8th. So we'll have a good window of time for you to be sharing on social media, hey, vote for my session. And the Session Selector will have a leaderboard. So it'll show, it won't show the number of number of votes you have for everyone, but it will show the sessions that have the most votes. So fun competition for our community. And then our team will take all that data and piece together the Startup Week schedule as well as the main stage. And then we'll email you and share if you're accepted and then where and when your event will take place. And then that is when you finalize the event and figure out speakers, venues, everything that you need. And then you'll send us those final details on the end of July so that we can launch the Startup Week schedule on August 3rd and really start promoting the event and building excitement and buzz and getting media interviews for the week. So just keep that in mind. And then of course, game time, the event will be the 16th through the 23rd in September. Awesome. And so this is what the tentative kind of schedule of the week will be. So very similar to last year if you participated in that, but we'll kick things off with an opening party on Friday the 16th. We would love to host that in St. Paul. We have a few venues in mind, but if you have one where you're like, we need to host it at this space, I'd love to hear from you and to hear we should be featuring and highlighting during Startup Week. And then over the weekend, our arts, culture, exploratory sessions. So we have a few partnerships in the works around fashion and food, but if you have some ideas around that, we'd love for you to submit them via Session Selector so that we can feature them during the week. And then Monday through Friday are our Twin Cities Startup Week tracks, which we touched on, as well as the bulk of the community sessions that you submit and the community submits. And we do have some, beta events that we'd love to highlight, as well as MinCup we'd love to highlight. Jess, if you're on the call, that'll take place on Monday, and Beta Showcase will take place that Wednesday evening. And then, of course, we'll end the week with Minnesota Startup Awards and the closing party. So yeah, we're excited to have also kind of good representation of both of our amazing cities that make up the Twin Cities during Startup Week. Okay, great. Now you're ready to go. Just wanted to really nail this down. We have you interested in hosting a session. So how do you tactfully do it? So you'll create an account on the Session Selector once that goes live next Wednesday. You will submit your ideas before the deadline on May 18th. You will promote your session during the community voting period it'll also be a great way to see if you submit 3 sessions and one session is the clear winner. That's really helpful for you to know, like, okay, this is what the community is interested in learning. So it'll be a great time for feedback. And then you'll hear back from our team at the end of June. If you are a part of Startup Week and officially on the schedule, you'll have time to finalize, and then you'll be ready to launch promotion of your event when our schedule launches on August 3rd. Great. Wanted to just provide a little bit more resources of like what kind of events happen at Startup Week, what does the community expect and is interested in, and these are some examples of sessions that have been great during the week and are always very engaging. So it varies from panels to presentations around like some subjects that you are an expert in, but we've also had like career fairs during the week and a pitch competition. So we'd love to see creativity and to get sessions that will really provide value to the community and showcase the best of Minnesota, because that'll, just get people outside of our state to be interested and to want to come here. So those are some ideas for you. Some other things to think about as you are thinking through the session. Just keep in mind what we are going to be looking for and kind of judging the sections on is, have you thought about the representation of your panel and the speakers you're inviting? And I do want to highlight that we ask that all sessions with 3 or more speakers include some diversity in gender or race. So yeah, we want to have a diverse group of people that are thought leaders in the space and don't all think and look the same. Also, just we'll be looking for a unique experience, a well thought out application in your submission, thought put into the attendee experience, appropriate length, so not like 4-hour presentation. And we really appreciate flexibility with the schedule as we're kind of putting the big puzzle piece that is Twin Cities Startup Week together. That will be helpful for us if you can kind of give us a little bit of wiggle room. And then, of course, we will be, really looking at the feedback from the Session Selector to determine what is accepted. And what we do not want to receive are sales pitches. Startup Week is educational, inspiring, connecting. We do want to highlight businesses and emerging startups, but there's a way to talk about the cool things you're doing without just selling to people that feels more authentic. Yeah, and I think the rest is pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, would love to have any questions about like, why wasn't I accepted? We can talk about that and, go through that.
Great. I'm going to
Pass the microphone to Alex from our team, who'll talk about level setting and expectations.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kelly. Now, looking ahead to when and if, and hopefully your session is selected to be an official part of TCSW 2022. All of this will be reiterated several times along the timeline, but just to kind of set level expectations going into the planning for this, to know what the TCSW team will be providing and what session hosts will be expected to do as well. So Twin Cities Startup Week sessions are free to organize. There's no cost to organize them. This is important. Session hosts are responsible for coordinating all elements of their event. So all of the minutia that goes into planning an event is on the session host's shoulders. That includes the speakers that you're going to be featuring at your event, the venue, promotion for the event, execution, sharing the details to us so we can help do this next part. Now, even though there is a lot on a session host's shoulders, the TCSW team will be supporting all the session hosts in a number of different ways. So we'll be selecting the session day and the time slot for your session. The virtual platform, as Kelly mentioned several times, will most likely be using Hopin again, which if you've interacted with TCSW in the past 2 years, you're familiar with, and training for using Hopin as well. It's a super flexible platform that allows you to do a lot of very, very cool things. So we'll be doing a training session for that later in the timeline. We'll be providing partner venue info for any in-person events. We'll also be providing a TCSW marketing kit that will have some social media copies, some social media images to make promoting your event as easy as possible and keep it looking fresh and clean, because that's what we're all about. And making connections with community members. If there's other ways that we can help make your session the best it can be, we're willing to make those connections as well. So once again, this is just kind of really preliminary expectations. These will be reiterated several times on the TCSW blog and in communications that we'll be sending out, but it's always just good to get a baseline of expectations going forward. And speaking of keeping up with things, even though I didn't mention keeping up with things, so that segue is a little missed, but be sure to follow us on social media and LinkedIn. Here's all the channels that you can follow us on. Starting early next week, the spigot of TCSW information is going to be cracked open, and there's going to be a lot coming out all the time. So following these channels is the best way to stay up to date with everything. And of course, we are very approachable. Even though I'm very tall, I'm fairly nice. So let us know if we can help in any way as well.
All right, with that, that kind of concludes what we had prepared for today's call. So we'd love to open it up to questions. And to Alex's point too, we did include our email addresses in a slide. So if you really want to talk to Shikari about sponsorship or me about a session idea, feel free to reach out after this call as well, but we'd love to use this time. So feel free to come off mute or ask a question in the chat. Oh, and Jamie asked, are you able to share the slide deck? Absolutely. We plan on exporting as PDF and sharing the recording of the session today, as well as a slide deck to all of these registrants and then to just across our Startup Week channel. So you will absolutely receive a copy of it. Oh, Jeff Nelson asked, do you know what day the tracks will be yet? Mine will be funding and take place in St. Paul. That is great. Question, Jeff. We haven't nailed down exactly what tracks will be and what venues and what days, but thank you for telling us this, because this kind of impacts, we'll probably have the funding track in St. Paul, so thanks for sharing that. Victoria asks, do session hosts get a discounted registration to Startup Week? That's a great question. And yes, you do. We haven't decided exactly what that'll look like and the pricing structure of Startup Week, but yes, in the past, our session hosts have received a free ticket to a free general admission ticket to Startup Week and a discounted kind of VIP or beta pass ticket. And so you can expect something similar for this year. Is there a plan to increase attrition on attendance? Yes, Jamie. So this is kind of where a lot of our Startup Week vision and goals and updates have been. So we think the session selector is going to help us have an increased quality of sessions and maybe reduce the quantity of sessions that take place during the week. And we also hope if attendees kind of vote for a session, they're more likely to then register and attend the session. So we think that platform is going to contribute to that. And then also the fact that we're condensing locations and venues will also just allow our attendees to better be able to navigate the event and be able to attend what they said they would attend. So that is kind of our plan for reducing attrition to sessions. For session selector, is your session is not selected, what happens? That is a great question. So for the session selector, once you submit, you will receive an email like, hang tight, the Startup Week team, us, will review if it's accepted or not accepted for community voting. And so we will, if you align your event with the sessions criteria that we shared, we will accept you onto the voting platform. And then from there, it really depends on the number of sessions we receive, the number of votes that you receive. It's not necessarily the sessions with the most votes get on the schedule, because we don't want it to be a popularity contest. We want to feature really cool, innovative things, even if you don't have a huge following. So we will just be in touch. If you aren't selected on the Startup Week schedule, you will be notified at the end of June. So that's what that process looks like. Oh, things are pouring in. This is an engaged group of people. Matt asks, what is the expected ratio of in-person versus remote attendance? This is a very good question, and we have data from 2021, but I'm not sure if that will exactly translate to 2022 as evolution and with the pandemic. So I don't know if it's a perfect ratio, but we had, let's see, I'd have to look up our exacts, but we had about 50% of people participate in person, and then maybe 30% hybrid and 20% virtual. So really it's skewed in person. But as we continue to grow the week, it might look different, but I think most people want to participate in person. So as you're thinking about, should I host a virtual session or an in-person session, that can kind of affect that. But also it depends what your goals are for the event too. Do you have a sponsor brochure available? Thank you so much for asking, Bridget. We do. And so when we follow up with the recording and the slide deck, we will also share our sponsorship opportunities for the week. Thank you for asking that. Appreciate your interest and support. Oh, Grace asks session length. What is the ideal time length of a session? This also varies depending on the session itself, the format, but generally most sessions are either 45 to 60 minutes. I would say 60 minutes is probably the average, but we've seen 90 minutes for some, like more workshop events, and then we've seen shorter depending on the content, but 60 minutes is a pretty average length. Will the partner venues be discounted for use, or will it be free? That is a great question, and it depends on our venue partner. So we will also share a list. In the past, we've worked with Wellworth in St. Paul. I think Jamie's on the call, and we've worked with WeWork that have provided space for free to Startup Week session hosts. And then we've also had some partner venues that are like, I'll give you a discount So it depends on the partner, but it'll be outlined in our one pager about it. And you'll know what costs are associated, if any, with our venue partners. Ooh, the first COVID question. Will there be a mask/vaccination requirements for in-person sessions or events? This is a great question. And our honest answer is we don't know right now. We will finalize our, protocol and guidelines for this closer to the event. I believe last year we finalized our policy in the summertime. So as we get closer, we will communicate what those are, but a heads up, when you do submit a session via the session selector, we do ask the question at the time, do you agree to abide by our COVID protocol? So we are thinking about those things. It's too early to say what our policy will be. Great. Let's see. Ali asks, are you able to host an event and be a volunteer, or is it one or the other? Is it possible to have community events in the same venue as the main stage track so that increases the participation of the community events? These are both great questions. The first one is absolutely yes, you can be a volunteer and a session host. Yes, we typically need volunteers for check-in at our main stage events, as well as the opening party and showcase. And then as our community sessions, if they ask like, oh, do you have any volunteers for our events? We can kind of send them your way too. So yes, you can do both. And then for the second part is we are actively seeking venues that have space where we can have our main stage going, and then down the hall or up the stairs, you can also host community sessions. So yes, we are trying to do that, but we also want to leave space for people that really want to have their event at their office or at a co-working space that they love in the area. So there will be both, but we can't guarantee that it'll be at the same venue, just depending on kind of what venues that we lock in. But that is absolutely something we're trying to do. And even if you can't do it at the same space, we can help you, find a space that's very close for people to travel to and from. Sydney asks, if you get selected, but then something comes up and you can no longer host, what happens? This has happened before, and it especially happened during COVID times when people were like, you know what, I, for whatever reason, can no longer do this event. So we just ask that you communicate that to us as soon as you can so that we can give the spot to someone else and make sure that there's events happening during startup week. So just let us know as soon as you can if that arises. Oh, Jenny added on to Sydney's question. Do you have a backup list of people who can host a session if someone has to drop out? This was not addressed, so thank you for asking it. Yes, now that we have the session selector kind of more formalized, we will absolutely be using it to, if we have a runner-up that wasn't selected, but then someone dropped out, we will use that to populate and to update that. So I think it just encourages you to submit and then let us know as soon as you can, if you do have to drop out. Session host, what does it mean? What does it mean host is responsible for promotion? This is a great question and a point that we really want to communicate today. So we promote, as the Startup Week team, we are promoting kind of the conference and the festival as a whole, and we are driving people to that. But we do not have the capacity, unfortunately, to do a promotional campaign around every single event that happens during the week. So ultimately, if you host an event during Startup Week, it is your responsibility to promote it and to share the registration link and to get people to show up. So we are going to provide you with as many resources as we can to make that promotion successful. So that media kit and marketing kit that Alex mentioned. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if no one shows up to your Startup Week session, we were not, I guess, responsible for the promotion of it. So just keep that in mind that you can have a promotional plan for your events. Let's see. Oh, this is a great, someone recommended to me crowdsourcing preference around the COVID status / protocol of when we do decide that. I think that's a really great idea. And that's something we've done in the past of like, what are people's comfort levels and what are your thoughts around COVID and how should we navigate that? And that is exactly why we are implementing the Startup Week steering committee so that we can get feedback from the community and not make these big decisions that we haven't thought about other people's we will use the steering committee to also determine what is our COVID protocol. And Matt, oh wow, I'm current. Let's see, this is the last question. Can we offer space even if we are not delivering a session? We have a very cool and large training room. Yes, Matt, that is awesome. We will have to get a form specific around being a venue partner, but yes, you can be a venue partner and not host any sessions yourself. And we've worked that way with some other co-working spaces and offices. So we appreciate that.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Kelly, and thank you all for being here today. Kelly, that was a marathon. I'm going to have to get you some tea. That was amazing. Great questions. As we mentioned at the beginning, we're just really excited to kick off the season with you. As questions come up, you see our emails here. Feel free to copy those down, and then we will be in touch with you by email sharing this presentation, as well as the recording from today. Before we leave, I do want to mention we have incredible strategic partners, an incredible team. Got to say thanks to 3M and JP Morgan and Chase, our strategic partners, as well as all of those amazing companies that you saw listed. We do have one more that we'll be announcing next week. So stay tuned for that additional strategic partner. Thanks to this team, and more than anything to all of you for being so committed to growing this community and the success of this event with us. So everyone take care. We'll look forward to seeing you and seeing your sessions submitted. Please be in touch as you have questions. We'll see you soon.